Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our third podcast. Today, my guests are Brother Hamis, who is House Representative for Unity, and Brother Zakwan, who is the House Representative for Discipline. Today, we will continue our topic. For the last two podcasts, we have been discussing, are people of the West more honest? Are they better people than Muslims? And we are discussing this common misconception that we have among our nation, especially Pakistanis. And today, inshallah, we will discuss a very important aspect of it, which is interest rate, sood, riba. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Quran in Surah An-Nisa, verses number 160 and 161. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فبظلم من الذين هادوا حرمنا عليهم طيبات أحلت لهم وبصدهم عن سبيل الله كثيرا وأخذهم الربا وقد نهوا عنه وأكلهم أموال الناس بالباطل, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that because of the wrongdoing of the Jews, we have made unlawful for them the good things that were before lawful for them. And why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them punishment? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَبِصَدِّهِمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ كَثِيرًا, because they stopped people from the path of Allah. وَأَخْذِهِمُ الرِّبَا, and because they took usury. وَقَدْ نُهُوا عَنْ, and they were forbidden from it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade them, made unlawful for Jews to be indulged in usury, in interest, but they indulged in it. وَأَكْلِهِمْ أَمْوَالَ النَّاسِ بِالْبَاطِلِ, and for their consuming of people's wealth unjustly. What is very interesting in this verse is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that because they took riba, because they were indulged in usury, what they end up doing, aklihim amwalan nasi bil batil, they took away the wealth of people unjustly. This is what interest does. And we have a history of interest-based banking, how it started. And we have a history and we have a Jewish hand among them. And today, the whole world is under this interest-based banking. And inshallah, today we will uh, discuss what the scholars of the Europe and America, what are the economists and the bankers say about this system. We in Pakistan think that this is a very good monetary system, and this is what people have developed. The brilliant minds have sketched out this interest-based economic system that today we have, and we should strive to get better in it. What the reality is, this is injustice at its height, at its peak. This is a sin that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says causes injustice. So first, I would like Brother Hamis to share some of the insights of the economists and the world leaders, what they say about this system. Brother Hamis.
Yes. So there's a quote by Robert H. Hemphill, who was a credit manager at Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, Georgia in 1935. He said that we are absolutely without a permanent money system. It is the most important subject intelligent persons can investigate and reflect upon. It is so important that our present civilization may collapse unless it becomes widely understood. So, what is it trying to say? It is trying to say that this current money system in which they are involved is not the proper ones.
And he's saying actually we are without a monetary system.
We are without a permanent money system. It means that it can lead to a major defects or a loss,
Yes.
or it can lead to chaos as well. So there's another quote by Graham F. Towers, who was a governor at the Bank of Canada from 1934 to 1954. He said that each and every time a bank makes a loan, new bank credit is created, new deposits, brand
Now,
new.
this is a very important part. What is the problem with banks creating money? It's like someone forfeiting the cash. You know, the cash that we have. What is the legal cash that is created by the government of Pakistan? And if someone is privately creating money, we would say that he is a fraud. He's corrupt. Private banks actually create money. This is what he's trying to say. When they make a loan, when a bank makes a loan, it's actually creating money, new money in the economy. This is what he's saying, and we will see some of the more of the comments in this regard.
So again, there's a quote by Reginald McKenna, who was the past chairman of the board, Midlands Bank of England. He said that I am afraid that the ordinary citizen will not like to be told that banks can and do create money, that and they control the credit of the nation, direct the policy of governments, and hold in the hollow of their hands the destiny of the people.
And that's what he's saying. This is how important the role of private banks has become. They direct the policies of the government.
It means that the rules government are making are clearly
Hmm.
directed by the banks.
They affect the regulations.
Therefore the regulations. So there's a quote again by the Irving Fisher, who is an economist and an author. He said, "Thus, a national circulating medium is now at the mercy of loan transactions of banks, which lend not money but promises to supply money they do
Now,
not
this is
possess."
another very important factor, that banks are lending money they do not have. This is called fractional reserve banking. It should be illegal. It is actually giving out loan from money that you do not have. This is actually fraud, but for banks, this is legal. It's called fractional reserve banking. That if you have $1,000, you can give up a loan up to $10,000 if the fraction is 1:10. Now, this does not make sense, but it is allowed, and this is current practice of the banks. And whenever bank makes such a loan, it creates new money in the economy.
There is another quote by Robert H. Hemphill, who was the credit manager at Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, Georgia in 1935. He said that this is a staggering thought. We are completely dependent on the commercial banks. Someone has to borrow every dollar we have in circulation, cash or credit, from the banks. If the banks get ample synthetic money, we are prosperous. If not, we starve. We are absolutely without a permanent money system. When one gets a complete grasp of the picture, the tragic absurdity of our hopeless position is almost incredible. But there it
Now,
is.
what he's saying is that we are dependent on private banks. Government government creates money, but that is only a small part, 5% of the entire money that is in circulation currently in our economy. This is what is created by the government. 95% is the bank credit. Whenever bank makes a loan, that is a new money in the economy, and in our current system, 95% is that is created by banks. The private banks can reduce the supply of money, they can increase the supply of money, and all of our destiny, all of the our lives are dependent, our prosperity is dependent on the hands of private bankers. This is what they're
They
saying.
can change, they can direct the laws to the government as well. So there's a quote by Wright Patman, who was a USA congressman from 1928 till 1975 and the chair of House Banking Committee from 1963 till 1975. He said that I have never had anyone who could, through the use of logic and reason, justify the federal government borrowing the use of its own money.
Now, this is very important. It's actually a long quote, so I would like us to explain what it means. Now, firstly, he said that why is it that government is borrowing money for its own use, its own money? Government has to make expenditures, and when its expenditures are more than the taxes and revenues it has received, it borrows. But it does not need to borrow. It can print its own money. What it will do, it could increase the money supply and depreciate the money. But that is what actually happens when it borrows. So why you need to borrow when you can print your own money? You are borrowing, then you have to pay it back to the banks with interest. So this is what he's saying, that nobody can explain to me why we have a system where the government has to borrow its own money. So can you uh, read the quote from the beginning?
Continuing from the beginning,
Yes.
I have never had anyone who could, through the use of logic and reason, justify the federal government borrowing the use of its own money. Continuing further, I believe the time will come when people will demand that this be changed. That means that the people themselves are saying that this should be changed in the future if they get to know that what this system really is. So, moving towards, I believe the time will come in this country when they will actually blame you and me and everyone else connected with the Congress for sitting idly by and permitting such an idiotic system to continue.
Can you say again who is the person?
Wright Patman, who was a USA congressman from 1928 till 1975 and the chair of House Banking Committee from 1963 till 1975.
Till 1975, this man is in the central position and the center of the system. It's not some conspiracy theorist, and he's calling it an idiotic system. This is what it is. And in a nutshell, what's going on is, because giving loan, it's profitable now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbade taking of interest. When you do not take interest, giving loan is not profitable. Actually, it's a loss, because you have your own money and you give it to someone else. You don't have your own money until it is returned. So it is an act of charity. It is an act of humbleness or for humanity. You help someone and he returns you money whenever he can, without any profit that you have in this world.
And interest neglects the whole thing.
Yes, and when there is interest involved, then people start making money out of the needs of the others. Those who need money at this point, you help them, but you help them for your own profit. And when that started happening, people started coming up with different schemes of how to make more and more profit through loans. And this is how this banking system is created, fractional reserve banking, and the whole global banking system, which is actually private bankers taking hold of the money supply of the entire planet, country by country. And now the World Bank and the prosperous developed countries are giving loans to the smaller countries. And now here we have a list of all the countries who are indebted. And if you ask someone, which are the countries who are most in debt, who have the most loans?
If we ask in Pakistan, so everyone will say that from the shown, they will say that Pakistan is the most country who has taken debt.
Yes.
But
Because when do we need to take loan as a person? Who is the person that you think, well, this guy is, he seems like the one who is struggling financially, so he would have taken loans. That's what we think, that loans should be something that a poor person or a poor country would take. But if we see the statistics, which is the country which is number one in its debt? It is United States. The United States of America currently has $30 trillion of debt. Number 2, Japan. Number 3, China. Number 4, Italy. Number 5, France. Number 6, UK. Number 7, Germany. Number 8, India. Number 9, Brazil. Number 10, Canada. Number 11, Spain. Number 12, Mexico. Number 13, South Korea. Number 14, Australia. Number 15, Belgium. Now, these are the countries which are rich countries, which are technologically advanced countries. Why are they taking loan, and who are they taking loan from? If these are rich countries, who is richer and more stable than them? Who is giving them loans? This is what private bankers did. Private bankers are giving government loans. This is what Wright Patman said. If anybody can explain to me the logic of governments borrowing use of their own money. Money is something that is legal tender. It is the ownership of government. The stamp is government's stamp. For rupees is backed by Pakistan, the state of Pakistan. And rupees is actually what's going on is private bankers are issuing loans, and this is what creating money supply. And the government of Pakistan is indebted. Government of America is indebted.
and the debts are increasing day by day. Like
Yes.
if it's $30 trillion and it is increasing day by day, it means that every dollar or every $10,000 are getting increased day by day. The debts are getting increased.
Yes. And then you have to pay back with the interest. So this is the system that is not created by Muslims. It is created by non-Muslims. And what is its injustice? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَخْذِهِمُ الرِّبَا وَقَدْ نُهُوا عَنْهُ وَأَكْلِهِمْ أَمْوَالَ النَّاسِ بِالْبَاطِلِ. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished Jews? Because they indulged in usury, interest. And what interest does? أَكْلِهِمْ أَمْوَالَ النَّاسِ بِالْبَاطِلِ. They consume people's wealth unjustly. And here in Pakistan, we have a history of trying to find out an alternative. And I would like Brother Zakwan to tell us something about the history of the struggle in Pakistan for getting rid of this interest-based banking system, monetary system. and finding an alternative. Yes, Brother Zakwan.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
So, first of all, I would like to clear that what basically interest is. So, in Islam, the interest is one of the biggest sins, and it is clearly declared as war with Allah and the Messenger. So, coming back to Pakistan, as we know that Pakistan has also taken many measures to eradicate interest from the financial system. First of all, after the creation of Pakistan in 1948, the State Bank of Pakistan was established. And Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah said in the ceremony that I shall watch with keenness the work of your research organization in evolving banking practices compatible with Islamic ideas of social and economic life. The economic system of the West has created almost insoluble problems for humanity, and to many of us, it appears that only a miracle can save it from disaster that is not facing the world. It has failed to do justice between man and to eradicate friction from the international field. On the contrary, it was largely responsible for the two world wars in the last half century.
So you see, this is what Qaid Azam Muhammad Jinnah said in 1948, that the banking system has caused world wars and caused injustice in the humanity.
Yes. Coming back to the point, in 1956, the first constitution of the country was made, and 1962, the second. And both of them included the clause to eradicate usury that it should be demolished completely as soon as possible. Then in 1969, loans, debts, and similar other schemes were declared riba, which means forbidden for the Muslims. In 1973, the third constitution was made, and it included the responsibility that was given to Pakistan state to eliminate usury as early as possible.
So this was the Constitution 1973, which we still have today.
Yes.
And it clearly states that it is the responsibility of the government to eradicate
Eliminate.
interest as a riba as soon as possible. And it is Article 38F, which says the state shall eradicate riba as soon as possible.
Then, in 1977, the Islamic Council was established, and it asked the Muslim scholars from all over the world to introduce an interest free financial system for all the Muslim countries, and especially Pakistan. In 1980, after 3 years, the Islamic Council submitted the final report that included how the economic system would progress without interest, and the economic laws were now not to be touched for 10 years.
Now, this report that Islamic Council submitted in 1980, this is actually a very important piece of work that suggests what the alternative will be, how it will be implemented. And this work was appreciated by the Muslims around the world. And in King Fahad University in Saudi Arabia, this document was part of the curriculum. They used this document to teach students that this is the alternative banking system, which is interest free.
Interest free.
However, in 1980, Federal Shariat Court was made, and its job was to check the laws of Pakistan, and if there is any law against Quran and Sunnah, to highlight that law so that we can change it. But they stopped it from analyzing financial laws for 10 years. So since 1980 till 1990, the Federal Shariat Court could not make any judgment about the economic system. But as soon as the limitation was ended in 1990, they started hearing about the riba, the banking interest, the banking system of Pakistan at that time was based on riba. So Federal Shariat Court, they started to hear the arguments for and against. Some people said that the current monetary system is not haram, it is not riba, which is mentioned in Quran and Sunnah, it is different than that. And the Muslim scholars, they were saying, no, this is exactly the same. The current world banking system is exactly one that is prohibited in Quran and Sunnah. Yes, what happened then?
As the Federal Shariat Court started hearing the rulings of the people and Islamic scholars and all the other debates, so the Federal Shariat Court declared bank interest as riba. In 1992, the government challenged this ruling in the Supreme Court, of which the first hearing was delayed till 1999. And then in 1999, the Supreme Court accepted the decision of Federal Shariat Court as the appropriate one and fixed the date of June 2001 for the government to end all other financial systems.
Now, this was a huge decision, and Mufti Taqi Usmani, Hafizahullah, was part of the bench. In the Supreme Court, there is a Shariat appellate bench, and there were three judges there, and one of them was Mufti Taqi Usmani, Rahimahullah. And this was a very important decision, and which heard argument from world over, from the Muslim scholars, from economists around the world, from ulamas. Everybody came in the court and they submitted their arguments. And finally, the Supreme Court of Pakistan made this ruling that the banking system that is operational in Pakistan and around the world is haram. This is exactly the one that is prohibited in Quran and Sunnah. And therefore, the Supreme Court of Pakistan in 1999 gave the government of Pakistan a deadline that this is haram, therefore, these laws will be abrogated and expire. There will be no financial laws then until you find an alternative.
So then in 2001, as the deadline ended, the government took permission from the Supreme Court through UBL to postpone the date. And then in 2002, the army leader Pervez Musharraf straight away just changed the judges, and the new judges that were the PCO judges reversed all the matter, and it again came to the Federal Shariat Court.
So this is the sad part of it, that the Federal Shariat Court made a decision, Supreme Court upheld that decision, but then it was reheard and judges were changed, and they, without any proper process, they just nullified
Reversed it.
all the efforts.
Yes. So this was a sad part, and it continued till 10 years, and the need to attend the court hearing was not felt by anyone till 2012.
Hearing in the Federal Shariat Court. Supreme Court has said that now it's the matter of a below court. You go Federal Shariat Court and debate there. And even there, nobody was listening to the debate for 10 years.
After 11 years, there was a hearing, but it ended with just no result.
And here we are again. So it was a decision that is still unchallenged. They did not follow the process to nullify that decision. But here we are. It is a system that is created by non-Muslims. It was not created by Muslims. The banking system, interest-based banking system, is created by non-Muslims. And our topic today is that, are we more honest or are they more honest? Who is a better human being? So using interest to give people loan is something that is inhuman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that وَأَخْذِهِمُ الرِّبَا وَقَدْ نُهُوا عَنْهُ وَأَكْلِهِمْ أَمْوَالَ النَّاسِ بِالْبَاطِلِ. You take away the wealth of the people unjustly. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Baqarah, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وذروا ما بقي من الربا إن كنتم مؤمنين فإن لم تفعلوا فأذنوا بحرب من الله ورسوله. Oh, you have believed, fear Allah and give up what has remained from the interest if you are true believers. And if you don't do that, then be prepared for a war against Allah and His Prophet. So this is a big punishment. Actually, it is the biggest punishment and the severest worse for any sin. Why? Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stressed it this much, that taking of interest this is how prohibited it is. Why? Because it takes away the wealth of people. It sucks the blood out of the humanity. And this is what created by non-Muslims, the Jews and the Protestants. This is how the first bank was created, and this is how they spread their wings throughout the world. And people say that it is settled, and Muslims talk about this interest and sood, and it's they are living in some other world. But as Brother Hamis has mentioned, the quotations, these are the world leaders and the central economists and the central bankers who are part of the system, who are saying that this is an idiotic system. And Brother Zakwan has mentioned to us the history of Pakistan and the work that has been done here. So we have answers, we have alternative. What we don't have is the will. What we don't have is the will to actually implement Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us follow the guidance of Quran and Sunnah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from the grasps of Satan and from all his evils. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this country the true believers, the country of the true believers and followers of Quran and Sunnah. So this was our third podcast. Thank you for joining us, Brother Zakwan, Brother Hamis. Thank you for joining us. Inshallah, we will be with you in our next podcast. Until then, take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.